Good morning. Welcome to Truth Be Told with Don V. We have a couple interesting news reports we'd like to share with you. Before we move to that, please remember to subscribe. 90% of the people who watch my videos are not subscribers. It's completely free, doesn't cost a cent. If you want to see the really interesting stuff about what's going on with the November 3rd fraud, you'll have to move over to my Rumble account. It's completely free as well. Doesn't cost you a cent. So go ahead and move on and look at my channel over there. At any rate, without ado, let's move. It says, no distraction. No Trump rally can keep the focus away from the chaos in the Democrat Party. The Democrats are truly in disarray. Moderate Democrats are threatening to hold up the reconciliation bill. Progressive Democrats are threatening to hold up the infrastructure bill. And Senate Democrats, driven by the moderates, want the infrastructure bill first. House Democrats, driven by the progressives, want the reconciliation bill first. In the Senate, Bernie Sanders is calling on his colleagues to undermine Joe Manchin's without saying Manchin's name out loud. The Squad, the Progressive Caucus, and several other members of the House are calling Manchin out by name. Kristen Sinema is getting trashed by progressives in the media, and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are now bit players in the chambers they control. Over the weekend, DJT held a rally a couple hours away from Atlanta. During the speech, he reiterated the November 3rd rhetoric, suggesting Stacey Abrams would be a better governor than Brian Kemp, the trash Representative Liz Cheney. This got coverage for a bit, but didn't stay in the headlines long. Likewise, yesterday was a pretty big day with the general's hearings on Capitol Hill, but today you can expect the biggest headlines and talking points to stay hovered around the discussions in Washington. And therein lies the problem for the Democrats. The polling for Biden is plummeting, and it does not appear to be that great for congressional Democrats either. Republican obstruction is a reality, but voters aren't generally paying close enough attention to follow that. Yeah, we're stupid. So when something bad happens, rightly or wrongly, voters look to the party in charge, explained Molly Murphy, a Democrat pollster. But on Monday, new data from the Morning Consultant revealed a murkier picture of the potential political fallout, showing a plurality of voters hoisting equal blame on both parties if the country sank into unprecedented default on its financial obligations. The share of voters blaming Republicans inched up 4%, a small shift, but not one that should be ignored, especially if these standards slog on for weeks. Right now, the numbers on the Republican side, and while that 4% shift may be something to watch, it's not affecting the GOP's position here, because there is a wiggle room in the polling. It's a sacrifice that they're willing to take to get accomplished two goals. 1, get a better outcome in the financial fight. 2, force Democrats to divide further. The party in power takes the biggest hit here, and that once again bodes ill for the Demon Rats. It's likely played a role in the Virginia gubernatorial election in 2013 that originally handed the state over to Terry McAuliffe. Ironically, it could play the opposite role in this year's gubernatorial race. The government shutdown and subsequent furloughs of federal workers in the Virginia area could be blamed on the House Republicans in charge, and that didn't hurt them in the polls. The opposite could happen now, and Democrats have full control of Congress, and they have the White House. If they can't keep the government from shutting down, they'll take the blame in the immediate future, though it won't have much of a long-term effect. More importantly, though, if the Democrats can't get either the infrastructure or the reconciliation bill through, then it's very likely that the 19 package is the only significant piece of Flashbang's legislative agenda we'll have seen pass. That would be a massive embarrassment for the party in charge, and not one they can easily recover from. What's worse, they are acting like none of this is really a problem. They're trying to shift all the blame to Republicans, and the media is helping. It won't be a permanent stain on the GOP like an absolute failure in Congress could be for the Demon Rats. There's something else here, too. The media and the Democrats have focused so much on the chaos within the Republican Party over Trump, they have undermined their own case against them. Either the Republican Party is unified and able to control the legislative agenda from the minority, or they're being torn apart by Trumpism. It can't be both. Whether they are losing to the former or the latter, Though it makes little difference, voters will see no reason to continue keeping them in power if they can't use it. Yeah. Whatever. All right, moving on to the next one. It says crowds gather with Matt Walsh to protest Virginia schools' indoctrination and psychological abuse of kids. A few hundred protesters gathered Tuesday evening outside the Loudoun County Public Schools board meeting to push back against progressive critical race theory and transgender policies. Many of the protesters told the Daily Caller News Foundation they were inspired to attend the rally by the Daily Wire's Matt Walsh, who flew in from Tennessee to condemn the county's increasingly progressive policies. "I'm here as a concerned member of my own county and a proud Virginian," Walsh told the DCNF, "and we are speaking out against the indoctrination and psychological abuse of kids that happens in Loudoun County schools and schools across the county." Good. Hurrah for you. Loudoun County, Virginia, a few hundred protesters gathered Tuesday evening outside a Loudoun County Public Schools board meeting to push back against what they said are far-left critical race theory and transgender policies. Many of the protesters told the Daily Caller News Foundation that they were inspired to attend the rally by the Daily Wire's Matt Walsh. So I'm repeating the same thing. In Tennessee to speak to the schools board of Loudoun County, a battleground for progressive education policies including LGBT issues, critical race theory, and racial reparations. The conservative commenter had amused fans and outraged critics by renting a home in Loudoun County after the school board tried to prevent him from speaking, saying that only county residents could participate in public comments. Walsh's fans lined up to greet, interview, or chat with him in the parking lot outside the district building where activists and family organizations had set up tents and a stage. The event was guarded by Loudoun County Public Schools safety and security guards checking the bags and bodies of anyone who entered the building for the school board meeting with metal detectors. "I'm here as a concerned member of my own county and a proud Virginian," Walsh said, "and we're speaking out against the indoctrination, psychological abuse of kids that happens in Loudoun County schools and schools across the country." Walsh said that the rally is part of a growing, encouraging trend of parents who wish to take control of their children's education. "If I was able to drive a few more people to come out, then that's great," he said. "But when you look around and see all the signs, I think people are here because people are starting to wake up to the fact that the future of our country is not really determined on the national political level, such as conservatives, that we've been almost singularly focused on for years. The future is determined right under our noses at our school boards like this." Yes, it is. It's really important to get involved in all this. We got to take back our country, guys. Activist and teacher Lilt Van Steyan, who urged parents to act during a viral June LCPS board meeting speech, lamented to the DCNF that it took a celebrity like Walsh coming to the event to draw such a large crowd. "I think each time we have a rally, a school board meeting of any kind, that the numbers keep growing," Van Anston said. "I'm happy to see everybody here. I'm happy to see this turnout here, but I do also believe that if it weren't for a popular person coming here, we wouldn't see this kind of turnout." Well, yes, you would, because it's turning around. Van Anston was formerly a teacher with Fairfax County Public Schools, but decided to leave her job over concerns that her medical freedom was going to be taken advantage of. She is now providing private instructions for families that have pulled their children out of school. You guys want to give this a little, let's give this a little quick play.
"I just want you to remember one important thing, that the parents have the Constitution and other federal laws on their sides. The school district does not have the authority to circumvent parental consent or notification in these matters. You have the laws on your side. Parents' rights do not end at the schoolhouse door. Speak out and stop this madness."
Hurrah for her. It says angry parents and community members used the public comment section of the meeting to express discontent with policies enacted by the school board, including Policy 8040 that a LCPS passed in August. Though a few parents of Loudoun County residents thanked the school board for the progressive policies, the vast majority of those speaking expressed outrage. Under the policy, teachers must call students by their chosen name and gender pronouns that reflect their gender identity without any substantiating evidence. Policy also allows transgender students to participate in sports and use bathrooms that correspond to their chosen gender identity. You are all child abusers. You prey upon impressionable children and indoctrinate them into your insane ideological cult, which holds many fanatical views, Walsh said during the brief public comment at the board meeting. By imposing this vile nonsense on students to the point of even forcing young girls to share locker rooms with boys, you deprive these kids of safety and privacy. You are poison, he continued. You are predators, and I can see why you tried to stop us from speaking. You know your ideals are indefensible. Your silence the opposing side because you have no argument. Conservatives are not the only ones outraged by Loudoun County's progressive policies, Loudoun County resident Kelly Bean told the school board during her public comments. I have a family who is part of the LGBTQ community. I have friends who are pretty left-wing. My sister-in-law is pretty for a lot of liberal policies, and none of them believe that any of this is the same thing, Bean told the DCNF after she spoke to the school board meeting. It's often misaligned or being left-wing idea, but it's not. It's just an incredibly radical left-wing idea. It's not the general mainstream Democrats that believe this kind of thing. I think that it's trying to be pushed as a generally democratic ideal because they think if you're a Democrat, then you have to align with that sort of thing, she added. Curtis Hazen told the DCNF that it was her first time attending a school board rally. As a daily listener to Mark Walsh's show, he said he decided to show up when he heard Walsh was going to attend. Hazen is a plumber who said he has to work extra jobs to put his kids through private Catholic school. He told the DCNF that shoulders the extra work to keep his kids from being subjected to this nonsense that's going on here. It's not something I normally do, but I support the cause, said Hazen, adding that he wants to be a voice for parents who can't afford to send their kids elsewhere. What they are pushing our children is unacceptable, and the fact that my tax dollars goes to this really ticks me off. Yeah, it really irritates me too. I'm so tired of these people and their their liberal communist ideology for our country. You know, even the fake news, they constantly call us a democracy. We've never been a democracy. We're a constitutional republic. I guess if they ever read the Constitution, they would know this. At any rate, this is Don V, broadcasting out of Arizona under partly cloudy skies. Looks like we're going to be in the 60s today. Hope everybody has a wonderful day, and we are out of here.